Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Level 1 News. Today's June 8th, doing business and social.
Brought to you by Linode. Get the $100 below.
We're good about remembering to do our Linode stuff this week.
Only this week.
Yeah, we've been kind of lazy lately, but we'll make sure to mention them.
Now, this one could have gone in security, I suppose, but it's in business, so let's just go with it, right? Why would we argue with that? And it has to do with a brand. Have you ever had
Tim Hortons, I have.
Oh, yeah, because you've been to Canada.
What do you think about it?
It is actually surprisingly good for a chain.
Really?
Huh.
Yeah.
What did you have in their menu?
I had the donuts. I had the breakfast sandwich. Linus actually gave us all Tim Hortons gift cards. I did not manage to spend all $20 or whatever it was that he gave me.
Oh, it's like coming home with foreign currency.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I do with this? Yeah.
It was for LTX, so that was fun. That was fun though, and it was surprising. It's almost as upscale as Chick-fil-A, but as prevalent as McDonald's.
Do they say my pleasure when you thank them?
I don't remember anything about that.
Critical.
The service was pretty good though.
Is Linus going to do LTX again anytime soon?
Yeah, soon, I hope. Probably.
Yeah, I'll say with the
Well,
thing.
I believe you have inadvertently landed on the proper way to do business with Tim Hortons, which is gift cards, because I would not give them a credit card, and I certainly wouldn't install this piece of software.
Tim Hortons' app tracked too much personal information without adequate consent, and an investigation finds. It turns out it was also third-party tracking. Like, Tim Hortons didn't even necessarily...
Oh, no.
I've been getting spammed to death the last 2 days.
It turns out that Tim Hortons maybe didn't even necessarily have the data.
Wow.
Professional news here.
They used a library, and the library was stealing the data, which is a thing that we've reported on before. It's like, oh, here's a free GPS library that I can use in my application.
Free.
That also reports your location to the app developers and some other stuff. Now Tim Hortons did have some other stuff in the application that was on the naughty list, so they're not completely exonerated here. But yeah, don't just randomly use third-party libraries. That's not a good idea.
Who uses apps for stores anyway?
You'd be surprised.
You know what? If I like Chick-fil-A, for example, that's the only way to fight the drive-thru. I've not done it, but I've considered it.
I haven't done that yet. McDonald's is all about the app now too. Every time you go through the drive-thru, they're like, get the app and just do it this way.
Yeah, I've noticed that like the Lowe's website really wants you to use the app, and the website has gotten progressively more useless.
Yeah.
Because the website, it'll like auto scroll when you're looking at stuff. That'll happen 3 or 4 times when you're looking at a product, is it'll just scroll the page around.
And the filters are awful.
Yes.
For trying to like find certain things or certain sizes.
It's literally, I know you have this thing. I just want to know what aisle and bay it is.
Which is always wrong.
Well, not always.
Sometimes it's all right.
I've gone and I'll go to an employee and I'm like, where is bay AB? And they're like, we don't have that.
They might just be stupid, because I've had good luck not interacting with the employees and just getting what I need from the thing.
Well, it's weird that after the whole world has moved to SSD, all of a sudden we want the spinning hard drives back. Why do we want them? Because of the massive, massive storage capacity.
Larger than 30 terabyte hard drives are coming much sooner than expected. Japanese company has spilled the beans on the next big thing in storage. Spoiler alert, their endurance is going down and the transfer rate is not going up.
That's how it works, right? You pack on the muscle, you lose your cardio.
So copying 30 terabytes off of this spinning rust monstrosity is going to take about 48 hours.
It's a great place to store your media. Although having the RAID for the backup one, expensive.
Yeah, it's like you're going to need 3 mechanical hard drives just to store 1 drive's worth of information, because when something dies and you need to copy something off, it's going to be very slow, if it works at all.
And Sony is predicting the death of the DSLR.
Maybe a little bold.
Maybe a little bold.
Maybe.
Smartphones will kill off the DSLR within 3 years, say Sony. Now, this is a story that we've heard every year for the last couple of years. What makes it a little different this year is that we've actually figured out how to make silicon sensors that don't really even necessarily have lenses and optical elements. And we've also been able to reduce the optical element size a whole bunch. We're able to deal with aberrations, and we're able to sort of mass produce this on a relatively small scale. So even though we've got a small sensor that's not a lot of silicon real estate, we can still get a good low noise image out of it. And it turns out that's good enough for most people.
And we can use multiple of those and AI and sharpen it far beyond what your skill level can do.
It's interesting stuff.
Tough time for photographers.
I'll say I still would prefer real photos.
How do you describe real?
Like photos that were taken by a photographer in terms of like when I'm working with someone on a website. So a lot of times people will hand me photos from like their iPhone and they're like, this is pretty good. And I'm like, is it though?
Krista, it's a little gatekeeping here. What makes a photographer a photographer?
Someone who can give me a photo that's not 500 by 500. And then they're like, can you just blow that up into a header? And it's like, no, I cannot.
Well, the iPhone certainly won't give you that.
The other thing with this is that Sony is literally talking about the single lens reflex aspect of this. It's just no longer necessary to implement a camera that way.
Tough day for mirrors.
Yeah.
Well, we found out that Broadcom is sniffing around trying to buy VMware, and we wondered, will this be good for the consumer or will it be bad? Boy, that didn't take long.
Broadcom to focus on rapid transition to subscriptions for VMware, reports the Register. In fact, a lot of outlets are reporting that Broadcom acquiring VMware is generally bad for VMware customers. Going so far as to say Broadcom, it looks like what Broadcom is saying is that they're going to focus on the top 600, 800 customers that VMware has and extract as much money as possible from those customers. And if you're not one of those customers, you probably should find something else, which seems a little extreme, but time will tell.
Seems like maybe we should not let that happen if it's just going to be terrible for the consumer.
Can the shareholders band together and then buy VMware and then just not have to deal with that? Because you're going to have to pay the $61 billion one way or the other.
Maybe Elon Musk can get involved. And antitrust is the name of the game. That is the thing that we are hoping can maybe tear down some of this horrible tech giant stuff, but it's not moving very quickly.
Judge rules Cydia's antitrust case against Apple can move forward. This is a third-party app store that was trying to use sideloading for Apple, but Apple basically shut them down at every turn. They haven't been operational for a few years, but what's started all this is the Epic lawsuit. Remember the Apple versus Epic lawsuit, and Apple wants to load Fortnite. Epic wants side loading. Well, Apple said some things in that lawsuit that might actually help Cydia win their case.
But it's not. This is only a ruling that says the case can go forward. Yeah. Apple wanted it thrown out. The judge didn't have good things to say about the actual merits of the case.
Yeah.
So they might not have a very good chance there. When it comes to, I watched a documentary about expiration dates, or not. It wasn't about expiration dates. It was about the people who stay in Antarctica over the winter. And they were like, wait a minute, doesn't add up. A plane doesn't come here for 4 to 6 months or whatever it is. How do you deal with expired food? And they were just like, yeah, the secret is we just ignore that. And they're fine. So we know that's a little bit of a game, but at the same time, I've definitely like picked up my bread and like, ooh, I'm on the last day, and then you turned over and there's a big green spot.
Right. Well, and the thing too, if you're an expedition to Antarctica, you probably have food that's designed to deal with being stuck in Antarctica for 4 to 6 months.
Well, yeah, they're definitely not. It's not produce.
There is such a thing as canned bread.
But they might be eating stuff like that that's not common in grocery stores.
Nothing better than a long day of tagging seals in negative 50-degree weather to come into some canned bread.
Ugh.
But we're getting a little bit of that maybe now too, because it's going to become, if these people win, a lot harder to recognize when your milk is going bad.
Consumers embrace milk carton QR codes and make up food waste. The headline is completely wrong. No consumer wants milk carton QR codes.
Nobody.
The QR codes literally exist to benefit not the consumer.
It just adds friction to the whole experience.
Well, they say it does benefit the consumer because it benefits all of us, because it reduces food waste.
Nobody wants to buy the milk that's expiring tomorrow.
Right. So when you go, if you're smart, when you go to buy milk or produce, they have those lines with spring-loaded lines moving towards you, or they're at an angle. You just start picking off the first ones and just throwing them on the floor. And then you get to the one that's like, there's the new one. That's the one I want. That's what they want to stop by removing the dates and making you scan every single one of those cartons. I'm still going to do it.
Yeah.
Although we also like, is this actually just going to, translate to a text value, or is this going to take me to a website?
It's going to go to a website and
Yes.
it's going to say, your phone's already scanned 3 gallons of milk. Just
Oh, I didn't even think about that. It'll limit how many you can scan.
That one is good enough.
yeah.
And that's when you just open up the milk and pour it everywhere.
I'm pretty sure this is prelude to massive shortages where it just doesn't matter. It's like if you can get a gallon of milk, just take it.
You know what? Yeah, this milk is expired. Take it home. It's buttermilk now. And here's a big sea change, and this shows how crazy things are getting in China. I believe Shanghai did reopen, right?
Some of this is not related to that, I don't think.
Engagement challenge.
Oh, I'm sure they're paying close attention to
I'm
that.
sure that's part of it, but
Also the whole pandemic thing. They did, all of their eggs were definitely in that one basket, and so they're saying maybe we take one egg, move it over a little bit.
Apple has shifted iPad capacity to Vietnam amid China supply chain woes. This is not really an Apple decision. This is a Foxconn decision, but Foxconn in general is heeding. The top-down direction from Apple was build up inventory and build redundancy into the supply chain in case something happens, which Foxconn translated into, okay, Vietnam.
But
a lot of clothing companies have been moving to Vietnam for the last 5 to 10 years. This predates.
well, it's been even longer than that, right? I mean, the garment industry is huge in Vietnam.
Yeah, because it's cheaper than China. I think China is getting too high up in the middle class
What happens when we run out of countries
to
be
keep
developing
doing that.
countries?
Yeah, exactly.
Then it cycles back around to us. Yeah, the first number 1 country becomes the number 0 country. And here's a great idea, and you might be thinking, how did this take this long to come around? I imagine because only recently have magnets not been a major threat to our electronic devices.
Tangle-free magnetic USB cables are here. I've seen these before. This is not new, but this is a thing for USB cables now.
Is this just somebody at The Verge needing an
Yeah.
article? Sean Hollister?
Pretty much, yeah.
He's a junior writer, probably.
These aren't new, but, PSA, here's some free advertising for magnet company.
My cats would love these.
Just tear right into him. Like Cricket tore into that mouse. He didn't do it.
Now, Krista, every time you stream Overwatch on Twitch, a lot of people in chat are just outraged at your loot box count. How many do you have right now?
I think I've got 1,500 or something like that. I don't even know. I don't care about loot boxes. I don't open them.
Which some people just cannot accept.
They get upset. Yeah, they're like, why don't you open them? I'm like, because I don't care about cosmetics in a game. I just want to play the game.
Because apparently you don't, and I'm with you here, we don't have the mental compulsion to get these useless items.
Yeah, who cares?
But we are seemingly in a large minority, or a small minority.
18 European countries' consumer groups have joined the fight against loot boxes. They're deceptive and encourage gambling.
Norway had a lot of not very kind things to say about loot boxes in general.
Who can say anything kind about loot boxes and not be lying? Now, it seems like what kicked off the headlines about this is that new Diablo game.
Oh, it's got $100,000 worth of microtransactions in it, I think.
And certain countries, it might have been Netherlands, were just like, no, you're not launching that here. We're not doing it.
Do you have any idea how many problems we have with our children just because of sugar? We give them this. It's like crack cocaine.
How far has Blizzard fallen that they're just making mobile trash games like that?
You know what? Look at Konami. Konami, they are following the exact same the path of Konami.
This is genius. Why didn't we think of this? It's like,
Oh, Blizzard.
So they got a bunch of bullet points. It's hard to argue against any of these, right? Using layers of virtual currencies to mask or distort real-world monetary cost. Every game has
Right.
the free one and the premium one.
The funny monies, yeah.
I like Path of Exile where you have to pay to be able to hoard all the loot.
Do you really like that?
No, I mean, it's genius because it doesn't affect gameplay, but for me, it's like, I have to hang on to this.
It does kind of affect gameplay, though, if you can hold on to loot and sell it.
You are particularly affected by
Yeah.
it. What are your feelings on loot boxes? Do you like them?
I don't really care about loot boxes or cosmetics or any of the stuff, but if it's like, oh, you can use this item in the game and you have to
It's a
get rid of it
gameplay
because you don't
mechanic.
physically have enough room for it, it's like, but I might decide to play, a dwarf bard, something that's going to need this item.
Yeah, your love of in-game loot plus your hoarding instincts
Yeah.
is like a dangerous combination for
Yeah,
that.
a lot of people have that, I think, and it's exploited in those game mechanics for sure.
Now, sometimes it's just exploited to give you endorphins.
Well, even think about like the card games. Like when we play the deck building card games, I want to build all the thing. When a lot of the time the strategy is to just have like a deck that's just 4 cards that you just keep cycling through over and over again.
But they make that hard. Removing is a big mechanic in those games. They make it hard to take cards out of your deck.
Yeah.
Also, remember in DayZ was the best one because you would go to like 50 different houses and there'd be nothing but just garbage and empty cans. And then you'd find the M4 and that flood of happiness was overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then you get shot in the back of the head.
But I think the part of the joy of that sort of interaction is that, like, you actually have to play.
Right. You have
get
to work for it.
Right. Yeah. It's not just, oh, let me roll the dice and see if I get the thing I want.
But the same people cheating at PUBG
Right.
like that. Well, Elon Musk, for a while, Elon Musk was a bit of a darling to the Greens and the progressives. They sort of kind of ignored his whole anti-union thing and some of the crazier things that he said. And they're like, oh, he's just a weird genius. But all that has changed. And now everything he says is completely demonized because he's a monster.
Elon Musk reportedly declares remote work no longer acceptable at Tesla. Orders company execs to spend at least 40 hours in the office. Now, this came out, and the day this came out, I said, this is a stealth layoff. And then the next day, we got it's a stealth layoff.
Oh,
Did you not sort that?
Did you put it in the main document?
I thought I did.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't.
We might stumble into it later.
But yeah, so it's so transparent. And also the Tesla stock price, he's not going to be able to buy Twitter. It's unless it really significantly rebounds by the time we post this.
Does he still want Twitter?
I mean, I think the whole thing, if you look at it, the whole thing was one exercise of manipulation.
Yeah, I think he was trying to get Twitter's price to go down.
I've heard some theories that he's thinking about doing his own social media and he just wanted to expose what Twitter really was. And oh boy, did he do that.
Well, I mean, either way, he's just trying to tank the value of it because even if he wants it, he wants to get it for a lower price.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well,
Anyway, they got to lay off 10% of people.
Yeah, that's what's going to
we
happen.
might have more details about that. But another thing that Tesla did that was revolutionary, you have to admit, was to take the dealerships out of the equation.
No haggling.
And as someone who would really, well, I wouldn't really do it. I might do it. A Corvette Z06. Oh my God, those are amazing looking. But the markup is to the tune of $80,000 to $100,000.
Forget that.
Because of the dealers.
Does it get you from point A to point B? That's all that matters.
Very quickly. And it makes such a cool noise, Krista. You have no idea. But other companies are looking at that and they're like, yeah, the dealers are kind of screwing the customers and his version is working.
No more dealer markups. Ford wants to move to online-only sales for electric vehicles. Ford thinks this distribution model costs $2,000 more per car than Tesla's.
I can see it. You got to move them there. They got to sit there on the lot.
Right.
The dealer is going to charge you as much markup as possible and probably not be honest with you about things.
Because Ford's got to make their profit, but then the dealer's got to make their profit too.
Yeah. Is running a car dealership a value add versus, say, chip production or, in terms of that kind of job and the economy and
Plus, it's good for smaller towns because I was looking at an Audi, like a certain Audi. I was thinking about as an alternative to the vet. And I went there and I was like, he was like, no, we don't have that. I was like, oh, can you get one? No. Will you ever get one? No, not here.
All right. I'm out.
It's like going to the local computer shop. I would like a Threadripper, please. A thread what? A what?
Sir, this is not a garment shop.
We got this e-machines. You want the e-machine? How do you have an e-machine? They haven't been in business in over a decade.
You say that as if there is that. That place doesn't even exist. There is no local computer shop.
Not anymore.
Well, we've known for a while about Amazon's little wristband tracker widgets, and we knew that they were awful, but we didn't know the true details of them until now.
Internal documents show Amazon's dystopian system for tracking workers every minute of their shifts. And oh boy, even beyond this article, this is another rabbit hole that you should go down and share. No, not that one, the other table. It's crazy. Yeah, that one. So look at this.
Is one person.
Time off task 159.11, 158.33, 139.30, 134. A lot of these gaps are really tiny.
But this is this is each person with their cumulative time. So at the end of the day, if you're at the top of that list, you get a talking to. And if you're consistently at the top of that list every day, you're gone. This is crazy because it's like, okay, they went to the bathroom, so we're going to give them that 10 minutes back. But when they went to the wrong floor by mistake, we don't give them that time back.
I don't understand who at Amazon thinks that this is good for company morale.
Actually, if the employee makes a mistake like that, that is pretty well codified in labor law that they still they still have to pay them for that time. So they can't dock them the pay, but it might be that counts against them otherwise.
Yeah, they don't pay them. It's just a cumulative thing. This was the worst offender. So this is one whole day and all the parts that they couldn't explain, they're like, well, you're fired.
Maybe I just zoned out for a second. Like, come on.
I don't think people were designed to be
that relentlessly productive at all hours, 100% focused at all hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dystopian.
Certainly not for that long of a shift, right?
Right.
Haven't we learned that you have like 2 to 3 good productive hours in a day and then things start to go wild in your mind? Something like that. I don't know if I believe that, but
I think it depends on the task. Like sometimes I can be really hyper focused on something for a good long period, but other times it's like there's just too much going on, either with emails or messages or
the world spiraling into darkness.
Yeah, that too.
It also puts the whole attrition thing into, anybody that wants a job basically can get a job as an Amazon warehouse person. But if you look at the number of people that have rotated in and out, like everybody knows somebody that worked at an Amazon warehouse position at this point, pretty much. And it seems to suggest that the people in our society are not built to work this way if that much of the population can't do it.
But how crazy.
Almost everyone I've talked to who's talked about working there, they're like, oh, it's awful. I hate it.
But that's so wildly cultural because in China, they got the 996.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and Elon Musk has praised that.
Not only that, but it seems like the mindset of some of the employees are, it's giving me numbers in a table. I can try to work and improve my numbers. And it's like,
except that doesn't really work. Like when I was a cashier, they would give you a percentage of like how quickly you scanned things. And they're like, you got to get your number up. And like, that didn't motivate me at all. I was just like, I don't care about your stupid number, about how quick I scan things.
Have you noticed that Meyer, they have that board of who is the fast and friendly board?
Yeah.
But I guess there was maybe some stalking or some worry about, anonymity. So they use like horse names instead. It's not people names anymore.
It's just also too, part of the people who were like super fast at my old job, they tended to crush the baggers' hands because they would just sling cans down the thing. And I was like, you can't do that to people.
And sometimes I'll be trying to unload because I like to unload as I go and not be like the old ladies who just let it all pile up and add another minute to. And then like you have to be careful to reach down with some of the more aggressive ones because they get in there and spin that thing.
Yeah. So like when I was a cashier, I would take like bigger items like bottles of like soda or something and I would put them off to the side. But that would take valuable seconds off of your score.
Also, you got to bag those because everything has to be carried in one trip. Everything has to be in a bag.
Right. Well, at the place I worked at, they had baggers, but I didn't want to crush their hands and certainly not customer hands if they were bagging for themselves.
At Amazon, they'd be like, listen, their hands are not your concern. You let them worry.
Crush them.
Yeah. Well, here's the story that we talked about in the previous episode, and we kind of already gave away all the details, but this is just more right to repair horror.
Farmer says the dealer won't repair his tractor until he filed an FTC complaint. So this is a John Deere tractor that had a warranty issue, and you get the feeling that this particular customer is a pain to deal with. And so the dealer said, we decline to, do the repair. We don't want your business. It's like, okay, it's a free country. A business owner can do that. But if they're the only dealer in the area that can do a warranty service, they are obligated to fix it by John Deere. That's not an optional service. You can't decline warranty service. That's not how that works.
Now, he describes it, or the problem was the air conditioner went out. And he describes it as like, I know that sounds, look, just do it without the air conditioning, but you don't understand. the way they've built this thing, it's basically a greenhouse
Yeah.
with a giant diesel engine venting into the cabin.
Well, and also in a field, you're out in the sun all day. That's hot.
Right. But more in the 70s, I guess the tractors were more open. Is
Yeah.
that the thing? And you can't just pop the windows out of this thing. It's too much of a...
Too dangerous.
Because when you're running the AC, you want it to be hermetically sealed.
Yeah.
Stupid.
It's progress, but is it?
He also said they'd been out to fix the air conditioner once before and didn't do something right, and so it malfunctioned again.
But that's one of those digital codes where he doesn't even know what's wrong with the air conditioning.
Yeah.
Just that it's not working. They did eventually have to take him as a customer, but they don't like him.
He likes
Do you
to
like
complain.
do you like being fed? Because
Yeah,
that's what's
really.
at stake here. Fix it.
And Microsoft has, there's been a leak. I don't know if Microsoft leaked it. They might have.
Oh,
However,
these are available now.
there's
It's only a one-day leak.
nothing exciting about this.
Microsoft Surface Go laptop successor leaks via retailer, and they're now available. It comes with an 11th gen Intel processor. It doesn't come with ARM. I think that's kind of newsworthy. As much work as Microsoft and Qualcomm are purported to have been doing on ARM for low cost, the new Surface Go is not ARM based. That's surprising. But this thing's going to be like $700 at the top end, or $600 at the top end, or the default end, I guess.
And all the other hardware was basically the same.
Yeah, and 128 gig, probably not great.
Now, here's a crazy question, because you got to think that the people of China have had plenty of time to be reading lately, right?
Yeah.
So why just this, but not all of the other Amazon businesses? There's something unspoken here.
Amazon to pull Kindle out of China, and other businesses are going to remain. I'll tell you why. It's because it's too much of a pain to put arbitrary media on a Kindle. Kindle could be a great book reader, but not. It only wants to read Amazon books.
You think the
Do you think
Chinese,
that there's too many competitors maybe in China and people are like, I'm not going to pay for an
or
Amazon
they're
Kindle?
just more pragmatic?
I think they're just more pragmatic. I think in China, if you want an ebook, it's probably a PDF or an EPUB with no protection, and they just email it to each other.
I can see that. I can see that being like big, like not file sharing the way we're thinking about file sharing, but grassroots file sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's the book, and it's like, I would like to load this on my Kindle so that I can read it. Oh, I can't.
Also, you know what? I never considered this. Because the Communist Party is going to know exactly what you're reading if you're using an Amazon Kindle.
Yeah.
And they probably know anyway, but there'll be more steps to it.
Yeah.
Well, here's a first, and I'm astonished that it took this long because we've had every other kind of scandal hit the NFT world.
Reuters reports that the U.S. has charged the OpenSea ex-employee in first NFT insider trading case. Not just charged, the FBI had a raid. It was pretty dramatic. So this is one of those situations where the dude had the NFTs and he bid up the NFTs under a different account or a different wallet, but he controlled both wallets so that it would look like these were really hot. Spoiler alert, it was a scam.
You know what? I bet they kicked his door in, went right in. I bet they didn't wait an hour.
There was no danger that they were going to get shot by the OpenSea people, so it's fine.
Yeah, how about the OpenSea front page doubles the value of your NFT?
Yeah.
Too much power. Oh, Krista, it's coming.
I know.
It's coming, but it's being done in the stupidest way imaginable. And they have some empirical evidence here that it's actually just leading to cancellations.
Oh, Netflix's password sharing test in Peru is confusing subscribers, report suggests.
So in Peru, you would get a pop-up, and it's like, oh, we think you're sharing a password. You need to subscribe. And you can click a button and do that. But you could also just close it, and everything would keep working.
Or you could complain to them and be like, this is a member of my family, but they're in a slightly different location. And they just be like, all right. So that's the trick if you want to get out of that.
Yeah, if they start doing that and then eventually restrict access, I just won't use Netflix.
There's not even anything good on Netflix right now, except for Star Trek.
The Crown, but The Crown there's such long gaps between the seasons. It's like, why bother? Subscribe for the month and then get rid of it.
Both of those are on my media streaming service as well.
I, too, have some backup Star Trek options.
Here is our weekly installment of That Doesn't Belong on the Cloud.
Canon wireless printers are getting stuck in a reboot loop, but there's a way you can fix it. So it's basically change your wireless access point name or disable DNS on your router. and then your printer won't boot loop
Or
because
run it off a USB cable in offline mode.
yeah.
Because why does your printer need to be on the internet? ARM is just the prettiest girl at the prom. My God, everybody wants a piece of ARM.
Qualcomm wants to buy a stake in ARM alongside its rivals. CEO wants the UK chip designer to remain neutral no matter what happens. And so SoftBank, a Japanese company, owns ARM. Everybody keeps forgetting that. When everybody in the UK was all upset about the whole NVIDIA thing. It's like, but SoftBank is a Japanese company. What? So Qualcomm's sort of proposing, hey, why don't we get a bunch of people together that have a vested interest in ARM basically staying the way that it is, because ARM is pretty neutral right now anyway. And we all keep our ARM licenses, and we just kind of buy it. Kind of like the whole VMware, like, well, we don't want Broadcom to buy it. Why don't we as a coalition of VMware customers get together and raise $61 billion and just buy VMware that way, because that'll be cheaper in the long run.
And move it to Switzerland.
I mean, it could work.
Well, Starlink has definitely gotten good press since its launch. I've seen some people try to malign it a little bit and say it's not scalable, but maybe this will fix that.
Elon Musk reveals the details of next generation Starlink satellites. Spoiler alert, the Generation 2 satellites are bigger and heavier. They're like, what, 1.5 tons?
Almost twice as big, I think.
They're going to need the Falcon Heavy launch system, which is not fully complete yet.
They'll need a lot more space in the sky as well. They're going to just blot out the sky with satellites.
Bigger cubes. But remember, he did recently flex on how much that Starship could move.
Yeah.
So I think he's not worried about it. It's a bigger oops if this blows up in the atmosphere.
Yeah. But these satellites can communicate with each other and blah, blah, blah. We don't know how much of this is the Elon Musk reality distortion field, but he says that they're an order of magnitude faster than the previous Starlink satellites in terms of their bandwidth and transmission and interface capabilities.
It's like the shimmer in Annihilation, where some things are really beautiful, but every now and then a giant monster pops out.
Is that the Southern Reach story?
Maybe. I saw the movie, so I'm not sure. I think it's based on a short story.
3 books,
Okay.
which are not bad, but just, I read those books. I couldn't tell you what happened. Because there's a total confusion.
The movie's good.
IBM has done some bad things, and in this case, it was a bad thing that they specifically said they would not do.
IBM ordered to pay $1.6 billion to BMC. Big Blue's routine issuing of the rules warrants the large penalty. So this is a Houston-based company. Yeah.
They were doing business with AT&T, and they partnered up with this company, and the company was like, we want you to put in the contract that you won't try to supplant us at AT&T. Guess what they did?
IBM can do no wrong. Oops.
Here's the dream. How much a month would you pay for this?
$100.
That's all?
Maybe $150.
What if it was $300? You'd do it. You know you'd do it. You've paid more than that for gigabit in the past.
Yeah.
I know you have. I would too.
Chorus shows off 25 gigabit per second retail fiber broadband. 25 gigabit, what?
And through the same fiber that we've got run right now, supposedly.
It's nice. Oh, it'll probably be in the story next week, but some research outfit has gotten 1 petabit through the same fiber that we have now. So that'll be nice when that starts to roll out.
I think the Copyright Coalition will get in front of that.
I can instantly have anything ever written by a human hand on this, collection of 30 terabyte hard drives in a matter of moments.
Now, here is a story that I would suggest that you read because it's just astonishing. It makes me so angry that these people are so out of touch and so intoxicated on their own fart smell.
High on their own supply.
They're actually willing to say these absurd things.
Video game developers want fair online games. Some players really don't. So, video game developers built a matchmaking system where you get to play against other similarly skilled, picked by algorithm, of course, players. Streamers don't like that, according to this article. Streamers want to play and win most of the time, but that's unsustainable.
And they actually make the argument. It's like, no, it shouldn't be fair. It should benefit me.
That really is the argument. And this happens a lot in the Overwatch community where you'll have like a pro streamer and they'll do these like bronze to GM challenges where they purposely throw. So that way they get placed in bronze and then show them climbing up out of bronze, which means they're just stomping on low skill players.
But no one in this article takes a moment to think about me. Because in that equation, guess what I am?
The low skill scrub.
I'm the one getting stomped.
It's not fun. And then
that's-
they're like, how come no one's playing the game anymore? And it's like, because it's not fun to be stomped every game.
Has
It's
anybody
not fun to be the stomper either, I don't think.
has anybody taken the data sets from all the individuals playing and used that to train a massive AI? Maybe we could create AI players that feel real but are not.
Well, they say that they love bot lobbies because they can stomp the bots.
That's so PUBG, I've been playing a little bit more with some friends, and PUBG, because the people aren't playing it as often, they have like bots in the maps now, but you can tell because they'll just linger around the same spot. They'll shoot at you, but then like they don't try to move to another position. It's like, oh, that's a bot. I'm not even going to waste bullets on that.
Remember when we were playing Rocket League and they hadn't gotten the matchmaking working at all? And you knew when there was like a name like Sarah and you're just dunking all over it, it's like, oh, that's a regular name. That's not a real person.
Yeah, that's a bot.
And then
yeah.
like Bean Man 69 would enter the game and just thrash us.
Yeah, they were doing like kick flips. They were on the ceiling. Like, I don't know how to play the game that well.
Yeah, well, medical innovations are jumping forward in an astonishing pace. I wonder how safe this could possibly be.
This smart pacemaker simply dissolves inside the body when it's no longer needed.
That screams like microplastics all up in your bloodstream.
Or macroplastics.
Yeah.
You know what else dissolved inside my body? The pencil that broke off in my hand in 3rd grade, where I stabbed it through my hand.
And you're fine now, right?
And it's still there. You can still see it. But
You think this piece down here is some kind of like port for IVs? Or
charging, maybe?
do you have to hold your arm over your chest for like 10 minutes a day? Are you doing the Pledge of Allegiance? No, I'm surviving.
I assume this is for so there's like pacemakers like what my mom has where it's on all the time. But sometimes for medical procedures, they might give you a temporary pacemaker.
Right. So the idea here is to not have to open you back up to take it out.
Right.
So why don't I just let me keep it? Just let the battery run out.
And it just stays there forever.
It's a memento that I can always look down at my hand and be like, oh yeah, I remember the horrible stabbing pain. And it's just right there in my hand.
I don't remember anything about this story. Did one of you guys add this?
This is not the right story.
Oh.
Oh,
What?
what's happened?
Did it change?
It didn't go back.
It's
All right,
different.
We're cutting it,
We've
yeah.
lost the story this week. I don't know what it was. It must have been social media.
The story it was trying to suggest for us was about diamonds, which is not social media.
Well, you know who's not a diamond, but she could buy a lot if she wanted to.
Sheryl Sandberg has stepped down as chief operating officer of Facebook parent Meta. This is your final warning if you've got stock in Facebook/Meta.
Pull it. She didn't give a reason for her departure in her like little letter, but it's pretty clear she's not really on the metaverse train.
She
I
was
would think.
astonishingly good at her job, though.
Which makes her evil.
Yeah.
The
Oh, yeah.
Cambridge Analytica scandals and that kind of stuff. I mean, she navigated those waters expertly.
And maybe one of the things that could be worrying her is that when it comes to AR and VR, Meta was not the first one to the game.
No.
And it turns out a lot of the people who were first to the game have patents.
Immersion accuses the Meta platform of Meta platforms of patent infringement in AR and VR.
This is haptic feedback. So apparently Immersion has some haptic feedback patents when it comes to AR and VR. And was Meta the one that was working on the thing where it would simulate a kiss with sonic
I think so.
transducers? So I wonder if they've got scent that Meta's working on something like that.
It seems like Facebook would just acquire Immersion and call it a day.
That's
might
probably
be-
what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that might
like
be
next
angling
week
for it.
we're going to learn. Oh,
Is Immersion publicly traded? You might want to get into that. Might want to FOMO that. And the United Arab Emirates have, I guess they want to be part of the cool crowd who's talking about the metaverse. They clearly don't understand it on any level. Which is so hilarious.
This image too. Whoever did this photo.
Metaverse murders will be punished as real crimes, says the United Arab Emirates AI minister. They have an AI minister?
Which is shocking, right?
I was going to try to find the lost story, but
If you die in the metaverse, you get punished in real life.
So they do admit in the article that currently there are no metaverse apps where you can die. But if we were to have a shooter video game, for example,
Or just any video game, like death is part of video games.
well, but you could die
part of
without
life, too.
you could die without being murdered. But are we going to say like are we going to start calling Call of Duty Warzone as an actual war in the metaverse? So then you can't be prosecuted for the kills that you get in there?
Well, I'm thinking too, like, whenever I play games with friends, like, killing your friends is part of the joy of, like, Fall Guys or Humans Fall Flat, where you pick them up and throw them over the edge. Will I get persecuted for that?
What if we end up with war crimes in the metaverse? So if you cheat at Call of Duty, that's a war crime, and you can be held. There could be a trial.
That's probably going to be a thing in South Korea, right?
why did you get sent to Siberia? War crimes. Oh, what did you do? Well,
Wall hack.
I shot my friend. I team killed.
No, the story that we lost was the business news on the SEC declaring certain stocks meme stocks.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
maybe
Yeah.
why did that get deleted? Or
I think what it was that website has that thing where it cycles
it
to new
cycles.
stories automatically.
Yeah, if you were a company and you just declared you were declared a meme stock, isn't that a tort? Or don't you have grounds to sue the SEC now?
But that wasn't exactly what they were talking about, right? They were talking about any kind of organized.
I don't think the SEC can say that.
They can do what they want. That's the whole Supreme Court thing.
Oh, don't buy these companies. They're meme companies. It was like, what? They're publicly traded just like everybody else. That's not how that works.
And I remember what it was. They did a promotional video.
Yeah.
And the promotional video kind of painted anybody who was into meme stocks as an idiot.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, don't be like them. Be like real traders. And they're like, we did the research and we won.
We may be idiots still, but we won.
The meme stock people have literally shown that there is criminal activity going on, plain as day, and nothing is happening.
And they would like to continue that criminal activity. So they're going to make some propaganda toward that end. And in Iran, they have a more direct approach to controlling things like that.
Instagram moderators say Iran offered them bribes to remove accounts. So if you're a journalist or a protester, they've got your number, and Instagram is not going to be deleting your account, but Iran authorities would really like them to.
Props to these moderators. They took a big risk here, I think.
Yeah. How long before Russia starts offering bribes?
They don't got a lot of money to be offering anything right now.
We really need to delete these things.
They're actually doing quite well with their energy trade. It's backfired a bit. And finally, we have a leak for the thing that everybody is waiting to see in terms of how could it ever deliver what has been promised. I don't think it will.
Apparent schematics for Meta's Project Cambria headset have leaked, which should make that patent infringement suit a lot more easy.
So these are the direct CAD images. This actually shows you how to put the whole thing together.
We should 3D print these, and then we can make a clickbait video that's like, I 3D printed Meta's new VR headset.
You know, there's probably some parts in there that we'd have a hard time getting.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be functional. It just has to be like,
Just make it out of cardboard.
yeah, let's look at it. Let's see what it is. It looks kind of bulky.
Yep.
Yeah.
Plus, it doesn't look like that they've solved the whole battery thing, right?
It looks like the batteries are in the side there. Those look like lithium cells in the two sides.
It's going to be a bad headline when one of those bursts into flames.
Ooh.
I thought it was immersion with the tactile feedback. I didn't realize my hair was literally on fire.
Imagine a young girl with a big perm
Oh, like me?
and soaked in hairspray, and she's just having a good time, and then whoosh.
Oof.
That's not the metaverse you want to be a part of.
I don't know if I want to be part of the metaverse. You have to wear these to go get your milk from the grocery store.
Well, the only way you're going to be able to get milk is in the metaverse.
Right.
That's what you need to see and decode the QR code. It's like you pick up the milk and it's like, oh, you're wearing your Meta headset. Let me just decode this QR code into the real date for you.
Or how about this? In the metaverse, the app is even better it sets a color gradient on all the milks from green to red. So you don't even have to use the QR. You can just immediately choose.
know.
I want the purple loot. I want the purple milk.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The tier of loot.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
yeah.
All
Oh, this
these-
is just green garbage. I want
the-
purple.
all these steaks are white tier.
Yeah.
What do we got Friday?
What do we always have on Friday?
Nonsense.
Nonsense, but is there anything else?
Thing we
Space.
do every week, Pinky.
Space nonsense?
Space robot nonsense.
Try to take over
Space
YouTube.
robot. Oh, there's a lot of robot news this week, which makes sense when we think back to the business news from Amazon. People can't do this. You know what can do this? It can be micromanaged down to the millisecond. Robots. Robots love that.
But see, the thing about that is, I think they're lying because remember when AI really started to pick up, we were told over and over, this will never threaten the workforce.
Never, ever, ever.
They're just going to work with the AI and it's going to make us all happier. See
Right.
if you agree with that on Friday.